Hang in there, it is!
Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
We're going to talk about amateurism now. It's something that this was a raging debate that happened while we took our brief hiatus between the Ryder Cup when we kind of resumed a few weeks later after the short paternity leave for you. And so really just to kind of set the table for your thoughts on this kind of caught fire during the 2025 US Mid-Am, where I believe 7 of the 8 quarterfinalists had played professional golf at some point in time, 2 of whom logged a combined 154 starts on the Korn Ferry Tour. The eventual winner, Brandon Holtz, he played collegiate basketball at Illinois State before pursuing pro golf. The 2024 winner, Evan Beck, also a reinstated amateur. And then it's interesting, too, even coming off the conversation we just had with Mason Howe, where you're looking like Mason Howe's got NIL deals with Ping, FootJoy, Titleist, Holderness and Bourne. Jackson Coyvin's got deals with Titleist, FootJoy, Foresight Sports. So you're talking about
what is amateurism now?
What is amateurism anyway? And then I guess the final piece I'd say on this before I kind of pass it to you is the one that really stoked the flames, of course, was Colt Knost saying that he's going to apply for reinstatement as an amateur, as a guy who made more than $4 million. Love Colt Knost. And love the content play, by the way. We're in the content game. This is great content. He made more than $4 million on the PGA Tour. Last played a full schedule season in 2015-16. And his last event he played was the 2020 Waste Management Open. And then, of course, joined CBS a couple years later as a full-time analyst. So before I ask you any specific questions, Smylie, the way these things are going right now, I just want to just double check and make sure you don't have any announcement to make regarding your amateur professional status.
If I were to turn amateur again, I would have a list of requests, which is
fair.
Number 1, always I need to have a breakfast ball. If I get a breakfast ball and then an opportunity to have enough time to get an airstrike in the middle of the round to make sure I can get the levels back right, then I think I'd consider it.
I love this. I think that's how you submit the application. You're like, here's my credentials. Here's the last time I played a full season, and there's actually as an addendum, here are my demands. And I think that'll go over really well with the USGA.
Breakfast ball and just an airstrike.
Airstrikes.
Yeah.
man of simple tastes. I could all get behind that. But I mean, where's the line for you here?
You made a great point just about how high school kids now or college kids are getting paid. So amateurism has changed. It's changed in college football being the main one. That sport is insane. It feels like semi-pro football now with college golf, not necessarily being impacted as much, but you see some top players definitely being paid to be able to play at the amateur level. So how does this affect mid-am golf? Because my perception of mid-am golf as when I was in college or even before that, when it was, it hadn't been around forever. Mid-am golf, it was established. The mid-am was, it feels like that it hasn't been here forever. Am I way off in that? Like mid-am is, help me out here. When was it established? Can you do a little Google search?
Yeah. You keep opining while I do a search on, yeah.
I guess it does make sense that.
Okay, 1981. How about that?
Okay. It felt like it was going to be longer than that.
That was first U.S. Mid-Am.
I felt like it was longer than that. Anyways, I would say that where we are now is that if you didn't make it to the PGA Tour, I really don't have that big of an issue unless you were like a lifer on the Korn Ferry Tour. To me, it's the question of when did you put in your reinstatement for your amateur status back? I feel like the clock starts when you press that button. Now, for instance, for me, I don't think I've played since 2021, and I don't think my clock should start until I press the button. So as soon as I put in my letter of, hey, I want to be an amateur again, it should be from then. So I should have to wait, let's say it's 7 years from now, instead of the clock being the last tournament I played. That would be the one thing I would say. It's like, okay, I understand things are different now, but that would be one area that I would start in, is probably just when the whole clock starts with amateurism.
Well, it's perfect that you brought that piece up, because actually Alan Bassable for golf.com wrote a very helpful article on this topic recently as this debate was raging on. And I'm just going to read you some sections of it to detail the USGA's process, because I think that helps inform the conversation. So according to the USGA, roughly 800 US-based pros, including not only tour professionals but also club and teaching pros, annually apply for reinstatement, and virtually all of them are approved. Pros who want their AM status back need to only answer a couple dozen questions on an application. Application fees $200. Among the info they got to supply are tours they played on, results, cuts made, prize money won, 2 people who can attest to the accuracy of the info. The minimum waiting period for a pro seeking reinstatement is 6 months from their last pro action. But more decorated tour pros, the cooling off period can take years. So this is a quote from I don't have the name of the guy who was in the story, but his last name's Winter, and I think he's a senior official with the USGA.
Craig Winter.
Quote, there you go. The more success you have, the more that you would be asked to wait from whenever your last breach was, and the weight that we put on that is, it's hard to just kind of put into words specifically, but if you played on a major tour and had membership, you're going to wait quite a bit longer than someone who played mini tour golf and won cash prizes or prizes above $1,000, the limit in the current rules. The question was posed in this article: has a pro ever been denied reinstatement? Not as far as Craig Winter can tell. They looked back through the archives. No one's ever been denied reinstatement. So then the hypothetical is posed: what would happen if Scottie Scheffler wanted his amateur status back? And Scheffler falls into what the USGA calls its national prominence category. So in other words, players of large repute. For pros in this class, it's a pretty easy decision. This is, again, a quote from Craig Winter: I'm very confident that Scottie, should he choose to apply for someone in this situation, he'd receive a phone call that would say, Scottie, unfortunately, you fit the national prominence category and you're not eligible. So that's just a series of information there on the way they process these things. But I do think there's a little bit of a nebulous line that's drawn there. And I wonder too, Smylie, what the goal is of pros that are trying to kind of get their amateur status back, right?
Competition, man. Competition.
Competition.
We miss competition. It's as simple as that.
But I think for some it's like, what is it? Of course it's competition itself, but it's also like, what does that attach you? So in the example of the mid-am, that player for the recent history gets an exemption into the Masters, right? So it's got a nice little kind of
hard to win the mid-am, but
hard to win the mid-am. So but if it becomes a thing where the mid-am is littered with these ex-pros, and Augusta National's viewing that as, is this really in the spirit of the way we set up this exemption to award the pure amateur golfer? Like, does that change? I don't know.
No, I'm not against the whole thing. I mean, I think it's just the top level. Like, I think the Colt one's obviously like debatable when you've made as much money as he has on the PGA Tour, played as long as he did on the tour. There's going to be people that are upset about that, and I can understand why. From my standpoint, if I wanted to put my amateur status back, I don't think I should be able to get it back because I've won on the PGA Tour. But I also there's nowhere for me to play golf besides member guest and members where it doesn't even feel right playing in those anyways. And I can't get any starts in PGA Tour events. And I guess you can maybe try to get sponsors invites over to Asia or wherever you can try to get starts. There's just nowhere to play for someone like Colt or I. So I can understand that why Colt would want to try to get his AM status back. If you got to play, by the way, the AM circuit mid-am circuit's fantastic. There's some incredible events, Seminole, Pine Valley, you got the mid-am.
The Crom Cup, there's a ton of them.
There's some great events. Sure, I would love to compete and play in a couple of those, but and to think that like Colt or I are playing at that level that we played on the PGA Tour, well, that's not true. We're definitely not getting nearly as many reps. I would say, gosh, I mean, the amount of practice. I haven't done a chalk line since I've stopped playing. So I haven't done a putting drill practically in 4 years. So we're talking like severe. Just lack of being able to touch it as much as I did. So, gosh, I don't know where you draw the line. Is it the amount of PGA Tour starts?
Mm-hmm.
Is it how much money you've made on the PGA Tour? Because I definitely feel like there's a line that crosses for just the general public to be looking at the mid-am and be like, hold on. That one's a red flag. And like, I think most people will agree that when they see Colt's name in the mid-am, they're going to see that. And I don't, it's not that I don't think that Colt shouldn't be an amateur. It's just that when you've made $4 million, it's just hard to justify it. But I also understand the reason why. Like, he wants to be the Walker Cup captain. He wants to, he's already got a decorated amateur career, which I could totally understand wanting to add to that too, because I think they could pick him to be the Walker Cup captain without the being an AM, but I could understand that they've never had an AM not be the captain. So you could see it from that standpoint.
Man, it's so interesting hearing you talk about this, because my the line of thought of the proposal that I'd make is, could you divide it to where there's like a mid-am circuit that is retired professionals, and there's a mid-am circuit that's just pure true amateurs. But even there, as you're talking about this, it reminds me of another sort of thing that the USGA is embroiled in, the ball rollback. It's like, where does the ball rollback stop, right? Like, if you're playing with a regular ball throughout, through your junior events till you get to high school, and then all of a sudden you're playing, USGA sanctioned events, you have to switch to this ball. It's like, where's the cutoff there? And if I was a retired pro that, maybe just played Korn Ferry Tour, and I did have an affinity for competition and desire to get back out there on an amateur level, robbing me of the ability to play against pure amateurs that are the best of the game would stink. So it's like, how do you?
But we have full-time jobs, man. Like, like Colt's. I mean, he's got the podcast. He's got Sirius XM. He's got CBS. So like, he's busy. And like, another example, like outside of Colt, like John Peterson, garage business. Like, played plenty of times on the PGA Tour. Had his card for quite some time. Incredible golfer. A really great amateur career as well. Was a Walker Cup snub, and also had a chance to win the U.S. Open as a pro, and almost won as an amateur on the Nationwide Tour. Like, an incredible player, and he got his amateur status back and almost qualified for the U.S. Open this past year. So like, he's also another player. And then Bobby Wyatt, also a number one amateur in the world at one point, got his PGA Tour card. He's back as an amateur. So there is a cycle of PGA Tour players getting their AM status back, and it does show me that, okay, I technically could do it, but I'm just not there yet. I think the PGA Tour win thing just always sits in the back of my brain, because people ask me all the time if I do it, and the PGA Tour win always for me just sticks in the back of my head of like, dude, you're a pro, like, stay a pro. And I don't know. That's where I'm at.
Is it just that? Like, is it just the shame's not the right word, but just is it just the bad optics around, I won on the PGA Tour and now I'm applying for reinstated AM status, that would hold you back? Like, I guess
I just like being a pro. I like the idea of being a pro. You know what?
Okay.
Turning pro was a really cool deal for me. Having success as a pro, failing as a pro, all of it. It just to me, I enjoyed the experience a ton, and I just value being a professional golfer.
Do you how much do you miss high leverage competitive golf? Like, a lot.
I mean, that's what you practice and train for. Any athlete will tell you that when you're in the heat of the moment and you can't feel your arms, can't feel your legs, but you're in this flow state and you don't know how you're able to do what you're doing at such a level. Like, how are you making these 30-foot putts? How are you hitting these high cut 7-irons with water on the right side, and you're just sauteing one into the corner of the green? You just know how to do it because you train over and over and over again. That's the part I miss. Definitely the competition, but still, I don't put the reps in. Like, I told someone the other day when I was playing, like, it takes me till about like the 16th hole sometimes to like get the feeling of how to hit a certain shot, because I know how to do it, but my body and just the amount of times that I've had an opportunity to rep something, it's just not there. I don't have the reps. And so there's days I play really well. There's days where I'm like, I would like as far as like making the mid-am top 64, like, I'd be hanging out with the dudes in the back, man. Like, we'd be drinking a beer. Like, we're outside the cup by 10. Like, there's days where golf is like that for me.
Well, and I wonder, would playing mid-am golf scratch that itch for you, or would you rather just do a random mini tour event or something like that? Like you know, or is it like, hey, just I'm good with not scratching that itch ever again?
I still am not over keeping score and just being defined by a score. I don't think I've played around really. Maybe I could count on my, maybe 4 or 5 different times where I feel like I know what I'm at during the round. Where constantly for years and years and years, all I cared about what I was in relation to par. Over the last 4 or 5, I don't really know where I'm at till the end. And I programmed my brain to not really care what I'm at. I generally know what I'm at, but it's not like, okay, this putt is to get to 6 under, or this putt is to stay at even. I'm like, all right, I'm just out here having fun. If I make the putt, great, on to the next hole. And that's where I'm at now with the game of golf. I'm not defined by a score, and I don't think I want to be defined by a score again, because I hated my judgment of the score, hated everybody else's judgment of the score and me. And I hated that at the end. So I'm like, I'm still like inching my way back to feeling like golf, and the score and just the overall pressure of just playing the game. All that competition of, like, I love the competition, but that aspect, I don't think I'm quite there yet.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I did not expect this.
So I don't keep a handicap. I don't keep a handicap because I don't want anybody going into my thing and be like, hey, what did this guy shoot? I just I don't care for people to know what I'm shooting. It's like I'm out there just to try to improve improving every single time I play golf is that's fun for me.
That's so interesting, because that was exactly where I was going to go next, remembering that you'd said that on the show of just what it felt like to maintain a handicap. And I think a lot of that does go hand in hand with the fact that you're a tour winner. Like, you're forever, that is how people are going to define you and be able to speak to you in that context and go and look at your gin profile and do all these sorts of things. You're like, I don't care to do that. And I think the latter half of that statement is one that is exceptionally healthy, and one that I connect back to some of the stuff that Scottie Scheffler said at the Open Championship this last summer that everyone, just balked at and thought it was the craziest thing of all time. Like, he doesn't want to win. He doesn't care about winning trophies. Like, no, it's actually quite the opposite. He cares about every single shot, the process that he's going through. Like, he cares about the process of getting better. And if that, at the end of the week, that results in 4 scores that have him up there at the lowest score of the entire tournament, hoisting a trophy, great, fantastic. He's going to be really happy about that. He's going to celebrate that. But it's the results oriented approach in golf or in life is one that's always going to set you up for a lack of fulfillment. The one that's process oriented is forever going to be the most fulfilling. So I think that's, in a way, it's a beautiful thing to think about it. And it also has absolutely nothing to do about the conversation about reinstated amateurism we've been having thus far, but an interesting one nonetheless.
Yeah, most certainly. And I mean, it would be a wild journey to see my man Colt getting back to the Masters, and this time not turning that thing down. Make yourself at home there at Augusta. Go get in what's the cab? Butler. It's not Butler Cabin. What's the
Butler Cabin, right?
No, it's the one with where the crow's nest.
Oh, the crow's nest.
Yeah.
Crow's nest. Yeah. That's that. Honestly, listen, if you're in the golf content business, you should be rooting as hard as you can for Colt Knost, because that storyline would be amazing.
I would love it.
Oh, it'd be so good.
The haters would be out in full force.
So good. It would be so good. Be a lot of angry bot Twitter accounts that were posing as they got some Twitter account that's a spinoff of some random guy's name. I can't stand it. Those people being mad would make me happy. So I love that. Well, there you have it. That was a nice little rundown of amateurism. Got a nice little conversation with Mason Howell.
Yeah.
Got to talk a little golf gambling.
Do you remember Omar Uresti?
Oh, yeah.
That was the one that always pissed off the PGA professionals, because he got his PGA professional deal. He taught a bunch, kind of like he was the Michael Block before Michael Block, and he always qualified for the PGA Championship. Yep. And so it always made the PGA teaching professionals upset. It's like, this guy he played on tour for however many years. Like, it's kind of a different debate, because we're talking the USGA versus the PGA.
No, but I think it's the exact same, Smylie, because I think it's one of those things where if you told me there was a mid-am circuit that it's just high level competitive events, right? And yeah, you get to hoist a trophy at the end of the week, but like really it's just, there's no exemptions into other tournaments. It's just, you're playing an amateur circuit. I think most pure true amateurs that never turn pro would be thrilled to show up and play against a Colt Knost or a Smylie Kaufman, because how cool is that? This guy teed up on the PGA Tour and I get to test myself against that guy every week. Here's why I think the disconnect happens, or where people get upset, is there is the Masters invitation. There are exemptions into all these different majors that for most people, I mean, it's people teeing up for US Open qualifying. It's like, that's all they care about is the end result. It's like, they don't care about, playing against different people. It's like, I think I can play in the Masters. So I'm going through all these things. I'm trying to do that. For Omar Uresti, I think it's the same thing in a different way. You got a bunch of guys who've been folding shirts all year long, and here's their one tournament where they get a chance to go play in a major, the PGA Championship, and they got to tee up against a guy who's played on the PGA Tour already. So, of course, that's frustrating in that context. But if it was a different context where they just get to tee up against that guy, and at the end of the week, one of them's hoisting a trophy, I think it would feel a lot cooler. But I think and that's why I say I'd just be really interested at some point if these sort of reinstatements reached a tipping point where, just theoretically, an Augusta National said, you know what, this isn't in the original intent of why we were handing out the exemption. We were trying to reward pure amateurism. So if they're not doing that,
it would be,
then we're not going to give an exemption.
It would be an Augusta type to, because amateur golf is so important to Augusta National. You've seen it in so many different events that they award invitations to, the Latin American, you get the drive, chip, and putt now. I mean, I know that's not a great example, but still amateur golf and Bobby Jones and the history of that place is definitely in their roots. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's interesting.
Thursday on the Smylie Show.
It puts the players in really tough spots because really they are the ones that get the negative effects from consumers gambling on me versus Charlie. And we're the ones that have to deal with the negative backlash of playing bad that day. It's like, hey, you suck. It's like, I put you in my lineup, or I had you head to head. So really the players get the backlash of it all.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our local fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too, so please keep it up.
For all the good people of YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the